a newfangled microphone. Pretty cool, huh? No round top that you have to speak way into. Okay, thank you. Welcome, everyone. We're glad to see such a full house tonight for this interesting topic on some immigration issues from two standpoints, two issues, or not issues, but actions and activities going on in this county with regard to immigration, visas, and detainees. The first tonight, we would like to do a remembrance for Bonnie Boroff, a longtime member of and a founding member of the Tiffin League of Women Voters. She recently passed and we miss her. She was a very important and very active member of this organization. So can we have a minute of silence, please? Okay, thank you, everyone. We appreciate that. First off this evening, we're going to have Sheriff Fred Stevens talk to us about, actually, I'd like to say that he has come from quite a distance to be here with us tonight because he feels it's an important issue and he wanted to represent the Seneca County Sheriff's Office talking about the program of ICE detainees that are housed out at the Seneca County Jail. He also will speak about two of his deputies being task force trained so that they can effectively serve warrants for ICE, and he will explain how that works. It's a 2-year program, and they have to reapply to be included in this task force type of work on a federal level. So please welcome Sheriff Fred Stevens.
Thank you. Like she said, I'm in a week-long, well, it's actually 3 weeks, but it's spread out over a couple years. It's an FBI trilogy class, leadership for executives. But it's in Independence, Ohio, so I'll head back there after this. But I thought it was important enough not to have somebody that I just tap on the shoulder and say, hey, you know, go speak on my behalf. Because the program was started back in 2000 by Sheriff Steyer, if those of you remember who Sheriff Steyer was. He was my chief. I kind of consider him my mentor when he came to the Tiffin Police Department when I was on Tiffin Police Department in the 90s. And so he started this program along with the commissioners back then, the detention, ICE detention facility at the Seneca County Jail in the 2000. They had signed a contract and they housed in conjunction with the ICE before I think it was even called ICE back then. I think it was just Homeland Security, or not even Homeland Security at that point. I think it was Border Patrol. And so after a couple years with that, I think originally in 2001, there's not even any numbers for that. There was a different auditing software system according to the auditor's office and at the sheriff's office, so there's no known revenue or numbers for 2001. But in 2002, there was 376 for the year that was housed there total throughout the 12 months. And again, because the auditors didn't have had an older system, there was no known revenue for that. 2003, there was 704 housed for that year. Again, unknown revenue. 2004, 829, unknown revenue. 2005, we started having revenue logged at that point. And it was 873 ICE detainees, 809,000 for that year. In 2005, the program was reevaluated by the commissioners at that time and Sheriff Steyer, and they signed another contract because it was just originally a 3 to 5 year contract, and that one became a unlimited, indefinite contract. So that's the one that's in place right now. It's an indefinite contract between the commissioners and the sheriff's office that can be done away with by the commissioners or the government at any time. And it's important to know that it's not just one and done, meaning that here's your contract, you house them for us, and we'll check in on you occasionally. When I took office in 2021, 3 weeks later, we had a federal inspection, and I had 5 inspections that year, 5 the next year, 5 the following year. Total, I'm in my 5th year now, thank you. So that's over 2 terms now, so the first year of my 2nd term is about done. There's been 18 inspections, so they've lowered it, mainly due to cost, but there was 3 last year. So they're not other government agencies coming in looking after themselves. They're private entities hired by the government to find stuff. So they look over everything with a fine-tooth comb. When they come in, for a couple weeks prior, I have a assistant jail administrator, Sergeant Monahan, that one of his jobs is to be the liaison. So he gets notification of when the inspection is gonna be. He'll get notification of what areas that they're gonna look for and some pre-files that he needs to send them. So he has to get all those files together, which takes about a week, week and a half. And then he digitizes them, if they're not already digitized, and he sends them off. And it could be in all areas. It could be health and welfare, medical, kitchen, it could be booking, could be property, various areas that they look into. The week that they come, we get introductions on that Monday that they show up, and there's usually 8 to 10 inspectors because each one has a area that they do. Introductions are done. I have not only him, but usually 4 or 5 officers, COs, medical, kitchen, that are assigned as their helpers. You know, they still have their jobs to do during the day, but if they have needs, they can then contact the jail administrator or the assistant jail administrator, who will then contact their runner and say, hey, go get this file, or, you know, escort them back through the jail area, because they set up in our training room and they take over that for the whole week. We block it off because we know they're coming. We can't have any classes in there. We can't have any training in there. And then for the whole week, Monday through Friday, typically, sometimes they leave on Thursday evening, if it's a good inspection, then they do their stuff. It's usually typically 8:30 till 4:30 or 5. Most of the time they stay in Findlay at the hotels there because there's a large amount of them, and they drive back and forth, and they just work the whole day. They anonymously talk to the detainees, where none of us sit in with their interviews, and they can ask them whatever they want. How are you being treated? What's the food like? What's your medical care like? You know, do you get interpreters? Are you getting your legal care taken care of? Everything like that. At the end of it, we get an individual report, an exit interview. I'm invited to that. Typically, if I'm there, I do it. If not, the chief deputy or the jail administrator will sit on my behalf and then fill me in on the report. I get a preliminary report, and then they give, in about anywhere from 60 to 90 days, there's a finalized version report, and that's available online for the public to see as well. All of those 18 that I just talked about are available online, because it is public information, and we've passed all of them. So again, each individual person at this exit interview will go over their area of responsibility, and they'll talk about anything that they found, or anything that they want to highlight that is something that they suggest. Usually it's a suggestion. And one of the things that we've done really good, and why they like to keep coming back to our place, and it's different people that come, because it's 3 or 4 different groups that come, and they hire different people from those private organizations, is that we keep improving. Some of the places they go to, they don't get the kind of assistance that they get at Seneca County. They're kind of given the cold shoulder. The way I look at it is that because we have this partnership, and because we are benefiting from it monetarily, and it's the right thing to do because they need to be treated just like they're our neighbors and we're doing a service, and they are human beings, that they should be treated like our locals, and they should be treated as neighbors. So one of the things that I ask of my COs and one of the things that I ask of the inspectors is, let me know what we need to improve on. And so they take that to heart, and then they tell me, you have improved each time. You know, if we say that, well, your medical files should be digitized. Well, next time they come, that's what they look for, it's digitized. So the improvement is there on each of the ones. So if you go back to 2021 and look at those inspections, you'll see that we're not dinged the same time for those little small things. After the inspection, then we go back to business as usual. So overall, you'd be surprised to know that in 2005, it was 873. Then it really started jumping up from 2006. There was 1833 inmates, ICE detainees. 2007, it was 1827, 1,827. 2008, 1,426. 2009, 1,422. Part of that was because in 2007, H block was built. It was an expansion that was built, 60-bed expansion that was completed in 2007. I believe it was started in 2005 or 2006 to accommodate housing for the ICE. So that's why you see the big, like almost double jump from the 873 to the 1827, 1426, 1422, 1597 in 2010. 2011, it dropped back down to 894. 2012, 1,399. 2013, 1,180. 2014, 1,089. 2015, 488. 2016, 422. 2017, 750. 2018, 741. 2019, 618. 2020, starting to get into COVID, 231. 2021, 127. 2022, 340. 2023, 520. 2024, last year, 506. And this year, 592. So we're not into the thousands. Part of that reason is I put a cap on it. Number one, local. Number two, I think that we can sufficiently handle 60 to 75. Anything more than that, then it kind of gets beyond control of the COs. We have to hire more. It kicks in the contract where then we have to have more on the shift, which means we have to hire more, which puts the budget up higher. So I put a cap on how many that we will hold for the government. All in all, in this year we completed another expansion, but not for housing, but what's called a VAV room. VAV was something that 2 years ago, even though we have an indefinite contract, throughout the years, they will send modifications to your contract. So when we started the program holding, we fell under the NDS, National Detention Standards of 2000. Well, when I took over as sheriff, we were still using the 2000 National Detention Standards, which was a ding on the inspections. So much so that we were failing a couple of the previous inspections. So one of the things I did immediately was I talked to the COs and the supervisors and the jail administrator at the time, and Ron Green, and I said, what do we need to do to go to what they're asking us to go to the 2019 National Detention Standards, so we can start passing these inspections? And there was like 3 areas of operations that we needed to do. We needed to beef up our medical, because at that point we only had 1.5 personnel in medical. And we needed to add 5 more COs on for additional manpower when there was specific ICE detention segregation problems, if they got into fights or whatever. And so I got with the commissioners at the time. I think it was Mike Kirshner, Tony Paradiso, and Tyler, right? You were on at the time. And I said, here's what we need to do, and we could start passing these inspections. To their credit, They allowed me to hire the extra personnel that we needed. I signed the modification agreement. We went to the 2019 standards. We passed the inspection that 3 weeks later on the word that we were going to be hiring these people, and we didn't look back. And just or earlier this year, no, or was it last year? We are now on 2025 standards, so it had to be earlier this year. So we even went beyond the 2019 standards. We are the 2025 standards, which is a little bit more medical standards, and that was really the only thing that they improved on going from 2019 standards to the 2025 standards. And one of the other things that they've asked a couple years ago in this modification was if you could look through your facility and find a space to provide a VAV area. A VAV is a virtual attorney visitation room. And what it is for any ICE detainee to be able to have a soundproofish room to be able to have those one-on-one contacts with their attorneys. Because basically, like any jail, they go to a classroom, there's your computer, and the other ICE detainees are waiting to talk to their attorneys, and they're sitting in the chairs behind them. And what do you have when you have a bunch of people together? They're talking, even though it's low, it's kind of hard to hear, even with headphones, and you got an interpreter and everything like that. Well, we looked throughout our facility, and there really wasn't any space, because we're talking these booths are, they probably take up a big corner of that room like that. If you ever watch a movie and you look at those CIA movies or whatever, those kind of clear plastic skiffs where they're soundproof and they go inside and then you can't hear, but you can see inside. It's kind of like what those are. So I sent an email back. We really don't have the space inside our jail. It's built in 1996. We just don't have the room. We can't give up the classroom space or anything. The jail administrator and the jail assistant jail administrator came to my office a couple of days later and said, hey, we got an idea. Come walk with us. So I walked with them, and in between the new area, the H block, and between the old jail area, there's a horseshoe area where they built that 60-bed facility, and there's a grass area. They said, what if we throw a cement floor in, a wall, and a ceiling, and we break out the blocks and throw a door in there, lighting, ventilation, carpet, boom. We got throw some electric in there. Now we have all this space to do what, they want us to do. So I shot an email off to the ICE, and I said, would this work? And they said, well, draw it up. So I took some graph paper and kind of sketched it out, sent it to them, and they said, okay, get an estimate. So we got a couple estimates, sent it to them, Klaus Construction, and roughly about $425,000. And it was towards the end of the year, 2 years ago, I think, 2023? And he said, if you can do it by the end of 2024, then we found some money. Can't go over $425,000. You got to front the money, but then the government will pay you back. So none of your local tax money or anything like that. So I got with the commissioners, and I said, hey, what do you think? Worst case scenario, if we ever lose the contract, we've got this extra space in the jail. We can use it for classrooms. We can use it for, office space. We can use it for whatever. So they gave the go-ahead to do it. We put it out for bid, and nobody wanted it. It was too small of a project at the time. There was a lot of projects going on in Seneca County, by the way. You had Heidelberg's project, you had Tiffin University's project. I think there was a couple other things going on. So I was a little disappointed. And so that took us through to like April or May. We put it out for bid again with a couple more specifications. Hey, do it on your own time, or maybe it was a year before that even. So I said, do it on your own time, whatever. So we did get a bid back from a Norwalk company, and they were able to get it done. We had a deadline of October 1st of this year to spend the money and get it done. And he got it done in September. So We just slid under the wire, opened it up, and they are now using the attorney visitations in that room. So, so that went in this year. Again, no taxpayer money. I believe Barb has got the money back from the government already back into the general fund. So that has been a great usage of space for the ICE detention personnel to be able to have uninterrupted conversation with their attorneys, quiet conversations with their attorneys and stuff. So some other facts for you guys is we have been contracted to house for ICE since 2001. I know maybe that surprises a lot of people that didn't know that. So we're about a quarter century. The 60 block bed expansion, H block we call it, was 2007. We are currently contracted by following the 2025 National Detention Standards, as well as the Department of Homeland Security Prison Rape and Elimination Act PREA standards. Our average daily ICE population changes every day. It's roughly 50 to 60. And then the average length of stay is around 43 days that they stay at our facility. And that is our ICE detention. Any questions on the length of the program or, yes?
Sheriff, can I presume that these are men and women?
Yes.
And what's the comparison?
The ratio is more for men, obviously. I don't have those statistics down here, but off the top of my head, I would say it's probably 15%, 85% male. Mostly 90 to 10 at most times.
And you say those are local, all local?
No.
Okay.
None are local.
And what do they do all day?
It depends. All of them are classified low level. We don't get any of the really violent or any of the criminal ones that are violent criminals. We do get some criminal ones, but some will work in the kitchen and they get paid to do that. The federal, whatever the federal rate is for that, and that goes on their books. We have the iPad stuff out there so they can watch movies, they can listen to music, they can read books and stuff like that. There's other programs that they can do out there until their case is heard. They have the video phones available for that. They can do mail. They have everything available that all the locals have available to them. Matter of fact, the populations are integrated. They're not separated. The only thing that's separated is the high felons and stuff. They're not with that population. Those are in their own pods and stuff like that. So, like H block that I talked about, that 60 bed, that's usually the trustees and a lot of the immigration is in there. Yeah.
Do the commissioners also come in and do inspections?
They have come out there. I have given tours of the commissioners. The question was if the commissioners come out and do inspections. I've given tours to the commissioners on different occasions and stuff like that. Not only of the jail area, but also of dispatch and the front area as well.
If you want to ask a question, raise your hand because we really need you to speak into the microphone, or not into, but just hold it so that it can be recorded.
There you go, Ashley.
Thanks. Geographically, where are the migrants coming from? Is it all Ohio or all over the United States? And then second question, what countries are they coming from?
So good question. On any given day, it's from all over the world. And it really depends on the needs at the time. So we could get a busload in tomorrow morning. Usually the day before, we'll get notified that, hey, 5 are coming in. So to be prepared for that. And they look at our bed space, because we'll put out, we have 5, or we have 10 bed space, we have 3 female space, or we have 10 male space or whatever. And so then they kind of plug in what they can plug in between us, Geauga County, Butler County, Licking, I think Licking is one, CCNO. There's about 5 in Ohio, a bunch in Michigan. So they're kind of playing Jenga all over the place, trying to put what they can put where they can put it. And that's daily. And then you'll have some, they'll pick up, and if they know that we got 5 or 10 leaving, they'll bring 5 or 10 in if they can. Might not be from Ohio unless maybe Franklin County has some that they might have picked up from a traffic stop or something like that, so they might bring them from Franklin County. But typically they're from other states that are then put it into our facility for that 43 days on average. But they could be from Africa, they could be from Europe, they could be from South America. We've got different ones. I don't know the current countries that we have back in there, but I would say roughly the vast majority will be from South America.
Next question.
Oh, got one behind you first.
Under what circumstances would your deputies question people, like about their legal status? And I ask that because of all that we see on TV and some of the very rough treatment where people are stopped because of the color of their skin, et cetera.
I can go into the 287G program in a second, but do we want to finish up on the detention stuff first? The ICE detention stuff? Because I will go into that falls more into the 287G program. But that's a good question, so hold on to that question. Because I would like to answer that one.
There's a question up here.
Right here. Oh, he's got one too.
Where do the prisoners go typically after they leave your facility?
Well, that's going to depend on the outcome of their case. And we have no knowledge after they leave our facility if they are getting released to a family member on appeal or if they're going to be deported. That's all we're doing is out processing them to the EROs who then take them to wherever they're going, right? We're just a holding facility.
Do we have any active ICE agents in Seneca County all the time, part of the time?
No. The only ICE agent that is assigned is Monday through Friday, who's a liaison in our facility that does the paperwork for what we're talking about, who's coming in, who's leaving, and stuff like that. He's assigned out of the Detroit office in our facility, but he's not just ours. He does CCNO in Geauga County, so he's traveling throughout the 3 or 4 facilities that he's responsible for, doing paperwork.
So the ICE agents are sent by the federal government
Correct.
to a county or a city?
The ICE agent that we have assigned to us is the one that processes the paperwork
Okay.
for them being in our facility. Yes.
Okay.
They're not the ones you're seeing on TV that are dressed like doing the arresting and stuff like that.
Okay.
That's correct.
Next question.
What accommodation is made for language differences?
Good question. So we have a phone number to call that the government gives us for a hotline that gives us access to all the languages that would be needed. So once you call that number, you say, okay, we have somebody that we're booking in that's from Uzbekistan, or somebody that's from Uganda, or somebody from wherever that we're having problems communicating with. And then we can pass the phone back and forth, we can put them on speakerphone, we can do whatever we need to do to finish the paperwork, do whatever. So much longer to go through the booking process with the ICE detainees than it is with the local. Sometimes, because sometimes you get drunk locals that take quite a long time too. So it's just case by case basis. So yeah.
Next question.
My daughter-in-law is an American citizen. She's been here for several years. She's from Mexico. She is afraid to travel back to Mexico because she said people are being just sort of singled out and questioned and so forth. And It worries her.
I didn't hear the last part, I'm sorry.
It worries her because she's afraid that she's going to be singled out and questioned and maybe get into trouble about coming back to the States.
As long as she has her paperwork that shows that she's a legal citizen, then she's fine. The only problems that I see and have heard from are people that do not have the documentation to prove that they're a naturalized citizen, that they're here on a visa, that the visa isn't expired, that the green card is expired, or the H-1B visa is expired, the tourism is, they've overstayed their tourism, or anything like that. There's absolutely, from my perspective, from talking to the agents and seeing the program work in our area, that there's no reason to be afraid. Going across the border or anything like that, as long as she has her documentation and everything like that, there should be no reason. I understand the fear because of what's going on in the media and everything like that, but a citizen has nothing to worry about. A naturalized citizen or a green card person that's valid and stuff has nothing to worry about.
Does that answer your question?
It does, thank you.
Next question.
You mentioned revenue a few times, so what
Yes.
kind of revenue are you talking about in general, and how has that changed over the years?
Yeah, other than the 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004, which was under a different auditing system. So in 2005, 809,000, then it went to 1.1 million in 2006. Adding it all up, there were some years that was in the 773. The COVID years was real low, 850. 2021, when I took over, was really, probably the lowest year, 439,000. But you add it all up, and over the 25 years, is 31,523,675 roughly. I didn't do all the the change or whatever like that. But that's roughly what's brought in that helps offset the cost of food, and the extra COs that are hired and stuff like that.
Sheriff, I have a question.
And that doesn't come straight to us, by the way. That money goes into the general fund.
Sheriff, I have a question. How many beds are at the Seneca County Jail?
Yeah, that's a good question. So it's easy to explain. The total number is 236, but because the facility was built in 1996, so almost 30 years ago now. They've changed that twice since I've been, before I was sheriff, and now they tried to come in and change it again, and I've had to argue with them because the standards changed. So I talked about the federal inspection coming in. Every year there's a state inspection as well. So the state inspection comes in and they change their standards. Sometimes they come in and say, well, your cell space needs to be this size now to house a person in there. They need to have more room to walk around or whatever. Well, when they built it in 1996, it was the standard. Now it's not the standard, some of those things. So that 236 beds are now, before I took sheriff, got elected sheriff, is down to 180 something beds is what they say that you can house in there as a mission standard or standards, not an essential standard, but a regular standard, meaning that when they do your state standards, and ours is coming up here at the first part of December, if you get dinged in that area, but not in a bunch of other areas, and you're still at 80%, you'll pass your state inspection. But if you read it on the website, you're going to see that we'll be dinged in that C block area because that's our felon area with people that are going to prison or people that have high charges. They're in that area, and we double bunk them in that area. They said you can't do that anymore. Well, there's no other place to put them, so that's where we put them. So we're willing to take a ding in the inspection area there, but because it's not an essential one. They tried to come in and say the H block area that was just built in 2007 can't hold 60 when that's when it was authorized to hold in 2007. And they base that off of how many toilets you have and how many urinals and sinks that you have, you know? And they said, well, you can only hold 45 in there now. Like, whoa, wait a minute. You know, how did this change? And then so we were able to talk to them and say, no, you know, why did it change? You didn't tell us it changed. And we were able to make a change on one of the sinks and a urinal to change it to a regular, and we're back to the 60 again. But it costs us some money to do that. So to answer your question, we're back to the 186. So on average, we house out there 150 to 170 if we get high. That's another reason to keep the number down population-wise. And another reason I've kept the population down over the last 5 years is because when I came out there, the jail needed some TLC. So by keeping the population down, we've been able to move people around, take this whole pod area, move them away, have the work crew go in there, clean it, strip it, paint it, clean the floor, clean everything, get maintenance in there, fix what needs to be fixed, then move everybody back in. It takes about a month or two over the winter time. So we did probably 2 full pods each winter, and happy to say this is our last winter was we've touched everything back there. Now we're just going back and doing touch-ups this winter and stuff. So we're with the commissioner's money and help, we've been able to put money back in there on a 30-year-old facility. It should last us another 30 years, but we have to put money in there. And that wasn't being done, and it is being done now using the labor that we have of the people over the winter time and moving people around. But if we had it at full capacity, we wouldn't be able to do that. We wouldn't be able to move people around. So we had to do that. Another project that the commissioners were big was the $1.7 million boiler project, which was just completed last year or earlier this year. For this winter will be the first time we fire it up, or it's been going a little bit now, but that was the original boiler that was in there, and it should have not lasted that long, but we did it, and the air handlers were 15 to 18 years old, so that was a project on top of that project. So kudos to the commissioners on that as well. So 186 beds, we're still back at that. So you can go over that, but you're going to get dinged. You're not going to pass your jail standards inspections.
So if I'm understanding it correctly, it was the commissioners that made the decision to open up the Seneca County Jail for ICE detention.
I think it was a combination of the Sheriff Steyer bringing the idea to the commissioners back then in 2000 and saying, here's a partnership that could bring in some revenue, do a service for the government that needed bed space, and they decided to do it at 25 years ago.
Okay,
Yes.
so, but it was looked at it as a part or a source of revenue for the county.
I would say that that's probably right back then, yeah.
And also, what other counties in Ohio are detention centers? Do you know for?
When I took over in 2021, got elected, I know that Butler County, Seneca County, Geauga County, and there was 2 other ones. I can't recall the names. All of them got out of it, but Geauga County and Seneca County. We stayed. Yeah, it was just us 2 for the last 5 years. And then in March through now, a bunch of them jumped on. CCNO, they've never been before. If everybody that's over in Defiance, Correction Commission of Northwest Ohio, they jumped on. Butler County got back into it. They hold between 200 and 400. They're a huge facility down by Cincinnati. I can't remember the other. Huh? I think it was Licking. You're right. Yeah, Licking. And there's one other county, but not a whole lot. And there's only a few of the 287G as well. A couple cities and four counties as well. Currently, there's a bunch in the works, but it takes a while to become 287G. Any other questions on the detention? You're not going to get to talk tonight.
All good.
All right. All right, 287G. Who knows about 287G? All right, 287G is a program that I heard about when I was at a conference. I think I was at the National Sheriff's Association conference. And it's been around for a long time. So this isn't a new program that just started. It's a program that is in partnership, again, with the federal government, with ICE and ERO, which is the Enforcement and Removal Operations. And what it does is it makes you a task force member to assist the federal government in there's 3 types of programs for 287G. And the sheriff's office, Seneca County, your sheriff's office is only in 2 of the 3. And I'll explain why. So the first one is task force officer. And to be in the task force, you have to be a full-time deputy, sworn. You have to have a minimum of 2 years on sworn and with experience. And you have to go through a background. And you have to take training through the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center. Albeit it's online, but there's tests through all 6 phases that you have to do. And you have to score a passing grade on each of the phases to move on, and then you get the final grade. So when I went to this training, I found out about the program, and it made sense to me. When I got elected, the reason I ran was to reduce liability in the out at the jail, out at the sheriff's office. And one of the things that was happening, and you might not know about this, was around February or March, about 700 to 800,000 immigration warrants were put into the NCIC system of people that overstayed their visas, overstayed their tourism, that were illegal immigrants that had crossed the border and did not show up for their hearings or whatever. They dumped them into the system that weren't dumped in the previous administration. Local police agencies did not know this. They didn't put out an alert, they didn't do anything, and all of a sudden, on your MDT computers, when you're driving around, like we do, and we run your plate at a red light on a traffic stop, or maybe we're at your house for a loud party and we run your social security number or your date of birth or name, up comes a warrant, and then they arrest you, like we would do with any citizen. And then they take you to the jail. Well, what was happening to these agencies, they were getting sued by activist groups, by the ACLU, because these are civil warrants. These aren't criminal warrants. And a police department cannot arrest on civil warrants. So the 287G program protects you from that. It allows you to make that arrest. What came out of that was agencies stopped making those arrests, and the judge in that case basically put out a ruling that said, well, don't arrest, but what you can do is get the information from that person with the warrant and give it to the federal government agents who can make the arrest, and they can go get them later. What's the chances they're going to give you the right information with the right address and the right phone number to go find them later? And if a federal agent, whether it's FBI, Homeland Security, Border Patrol, ICE, or anything, can get to your location, then they can arrest them for you. Reasonable time. What's a reasonable time? Roughly around an hour. I don't know of any agent, even if it was mid-afternoon and they're in your city even, that can drop what they're doing and come to your traffic stop within an hour. Because you may not know until 15 or 30 minutes into your traffic stop that you're dealing with somebody that isn't from our country, you know. So I looked at it as a liability thing because agencies were letting these people go. They were collecting what information they could to not get sued, and they let them go. Then they were getting sued because those people they let go, some, not all, would get in an accident down the road in an OVI later, or commit a crime later, or a serious crime, or kill somebody, and then they would find out that this agency had those people in custody or had a traffic stop or were dealing with them and let them go. So you were damned if you do and you were damned if you don't. So I looked at this program in the light of this could protect us from liability. And we're only going to use it if we come across a traffic stop or we deal with somebody that is here illegally and we're partnering with them. So being a task force officer and getting this certification, it's good for 2 years. We're certified. You go through this training, and the training is scenario-based, but it's also legal-based. All the scenarios give you all the legal training, tells you when you can and cannot make the arrest, when you can and cannot stop people and talk to them. You have to have probable cause, just like we learned in the academy. You have to have a reason, whether it's a traffic stop, whether it's you're at a house because of a domestic situation or anything like that. And then it breaks it down into the types of visas. The scenario breaks it into the type of visas are here. Maybe it's a student visa, maybe it's a H-1B visa, maybe it's a green card visa or whatever. So the way I look at it is it doesn't cost us any extra. We get extra training on probable cause and a segment of population that is in our county anyway. It gives them that additional knowledge of dealing with that type of population. And if we were dealing with a regular citizen, an American citizen, and I stopped them in a vehicle and they had a warrant, I would take them to my facility anyway. Well, we have the added knowledge that we have a detention facility there anyway. So I don't have to take them to Geauga County where it's costing us money or anything like that, because that's what some of the argument was we don't want our police department or our deputies taking them outside of our county or doing your work for you. They're right here. It's in our backyard. So task force officers can go to the traffic stop, or if they do a traffic stop and it is found that this person is in our country illegally, then we don't just make the arrest. We have to call an ICE number and verify that through their records to double verify, not just this person telling you they're here illegal or giving you false information or anything like that. Everything is ran through the ICE computers, and then they give you the okay to arrest that person. We fill out the paperwork once we get to the jail, and that's faxed over to them. The second part of the program is warrant service officers. So I have all my supervisors in the jail, including some senior officers. So roughly that's 6, 7, 8, 9, about 10 that can serve the warrants that were in the computer system to the illegals that are arrested at the scene in the jail. That's another part of the program. So again, it doesn't cost us anything. They had to go through the training. They are WSO officers. They get a card and they can serve that paperwork. There's a third one that's called GEM, Jail Management, and we're not any of that because that's what that ICE liaison officer is. He does all that paperwork Monday through Friday. So I'm not going to do their work for them. He's here Monday through Friday. That's to put them into the detention part of our side of our jail. So our road deputies that have 2 years or more, it's not just 2 deputies, it's our road deputies. Further, we're available to our local police departments to be that federal officer if they come across somebody, and surrounding agencies as well. Hancock County or anybody, if they call us, we can suffice for that 1 hour federal agent. So I learned about this in March. I applied in May, I believe, or maybe I found out about it in May. I applied in May. We took our training and completed it July 7th. We got our cards then, and we haven't done anything with it, obviously. We're not I said to the paper when we talked about this program, if you've seen the article in the paper, they did a write-up on it, that our intention at the time, and it still continues to be, we're not going out to the farms, we're not checking on businesses. That is not our job to do that. We're not going to be doing anything like that as long as I'm sheriff. But if we come across a traffic stop, if we're at a domestic, then, and we find that somebody's here illegally, that's when this will come into action. We've had 2 occasions that that's happened. October 15th, one of my sergeants was coming out of Tiffin on 53, and right at the Days Inn, he was coming out and he was gonna turn left at the bridge there, and a car in front of him, an SUV, turned really sharp and almost hit the car right that was waiting at the red light right there. It swerved and almost then hit the cement bridge. He pulled him over. They were all illegals. One had a deportation order for probably 10 years. And the other 2 had were illegals that had crossed illegally, they said, and not checked in. So he called the ICE number, and he was authorized to make the arrest. The other one was just Monday, 2 days ago. Today's Wednesday, right? 2 days ago. And that wasn't us. That was Bloomville Police Department. Work truck coming from Columbus to Port Clinton. Why they're traveling that way, I don't know. And the work truck is out of Indiana. The driver was speeding through the village. The Bloomville police officer stopped him. Couldn't hardly exchange information. Called for help because there's 3 of them. Our deputy went over him, who's a task force officer, collected the information, got some information from them that they were illegal, called the ICE number, verified that the driver didn't have a driver's license, but also was from Nicaragua and had a deportation order from 2020, I believe, 2019 maybe. And then the other 2 were from Guatemala, illegal, crossed the border without checking in. So those are the only 2 times since July that we've had to utilize the 287G task force stuff. And again, the intention is not to go out and do any sweeps, not to do any raids or anything like that in our county. And as long as I'm sheriff, that's not going to happen.
Questions? We really are at a
Yeah.
time crunch here.
Yeah, sorry.
8 o'clock. So we would like to hear from Mr. Ream. If save your questions for later, possibly.
I'll say after if you want to talk to me.
Okay. Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. Very, very informative, very thorough, and now I'd like to introduce Phil Ream of the Ream Farm Products and Produce. Everybody should know that name if you've ever been to the farmer's market or you shopped with them out there. And family business, been around for a long time. And he's going to talk a little bit about migrant labor and the use of migrant workers and how important they are and the type of visa that you get for having migrant workers here.
Sure.
You're here.
I'm good? Yeah. All right, so we don't need that. All right, cool. Well, thanks for the invitation and allowing me to come speak. I'll tell you a little bit about the farm, and that'll kind of all tie in. So the farm has been in operation since 1911. Everybody hear me okay? Okay. Since 1911, my folks are the 4th generation on the farm. I am the 5th generation on the farm, and sometimes my 2 sons help out at farmers markets or barnyard fun weekends in the fall. So it's really kind of generation 4 or 5, and we're happy to have the 6th generation, my kids, around the farm whenever we can. So we are a produce farm, growing over 50 different crops on our farm, and we seed and sell 12 months out of the year. So we're very diverse in that regard. In the fall time, as many of you probably know, we do the entertainment farming side for 6 to 7 weeks, where we just love to have family and friends come out to the farm and enjoy and have a good time. And a lot of folks, as we go generation to generations, don't have a connection to a farm, and we're happy to be their connection to the connection to the farm. It's fantastic to see smiling faces and families having a really good time on our farm, and we deeply enjoy that. Well, the farm sells in a few different models. We sell we do 3 different farmers markets: Tiffin, Findlay, and Bowling Green Farmers Market. We sell to a few restaurants here locally. We sell to a few local school systems as well. We do a little bit of wholesale, but the bread and butter of our farm, the model that helped me bring me back to the home farm. I've been on the home farm now for about 11 years. I obviously grew up there, went away to college, worked on some other farms, and we were fortunate enough that I was able to come back and join my parents in the farming operation, continue the legacy of the Ream Produce Farm. So I'm here to talk about the importance of the agricultural worker to our farm and what it means to us and what it means to you folks as community members as well. So we hire our guys on an H-2A visa. It's an agricultural working visa that legalizes them to be here in the United States for 10 months out of the year. Now, on average, they probably work about 7 months here on our farm. We hire 6 guys every year. That's what our housing requirements, our housing, we're allowed to have 6, and 6 works out good for us as well. So the last ones just went home yesterday. I took them to the airport 3:30 in the morning.
I saw the post.
Yeah. So yeah, that went pretty good. So the community really supports us, and most people know the importance of what those guys mean to our community. So they're here on an agricultural working visa, allows them to be here for 10 months. They are very, very professional. They have a skill set that a lot of people don't have. They work very hard. They're very loyal. It doesn't matter if it's 33 degrees and rain. It doesn't matter if it's 101 and beating down, sweating, so on and so forth. They're very flexible. When we need to go, we go. When we have a little bit of opportunity to some downtime, we'll take some downtime. We just don't get much downtime. It's an honor and a privilege to be able to work with them day in and day out. The farm provides their transportation. I pick them up every morning for work. I take them home every night. They get lunch breaks. Throughout the week, we are required to provide them transportation to and from the store. So generally lands on Friday. Every Friday, we go to the bank, we go to the grocery store, we do some errands and running around if they need to be, and then usually we give them the day off, and then we're back at it again the next day. So where I was going before, they're very good. It's a skilled trade to be able to pick, pack, tie, prune, weed, irrigate, vertigate. There's 50 different jobs that they can do very professionally and do very well. So every year we have to post that we have the jobs available here in the United States. I think only ever once have we ever had anybody even apply for that. Most people really don't want to do that hard of work that they do. And so we have to interview that process, and if they're qualified and they're capable, then we would certainly hire them. I would certainly hire citizens here in the United States if they fit the bill, so to speak, if they could perform the task that they do. So I guess I talk nearly as long as you did, but
I will say every time I drive by, they're out there.
They work very
Dusk to
hard.
dawn.
Yeah. Yes.
Are there costs associated with the program, and are there, I guess, requirements on the worker pay and maybe benefits or any, like, what do you have to provide
Yeah.
through this program?
That's a good question. I should have went into that earlier. So, yeah, the government sets the wage for us to be able to pay them. We have to provide them housing, which we're inspected every year on our housing. There's many different requirements. Each room, bedroom that they have has to have a certain amount of space. It has to have a certain amount of light. It has to be a certain height off the ground. And they determine from your housing how many people you can have. What was the back end of your question?
Just like there are other, I guess.
Other benefits?
Or benefits,
Yeah.
or, yeah, like.
Then the other benefits, like I said, we have to provide them transportation to the store at least once a week as well.
No, like medical, like if they get hurt or something, how is that covered?
We would just take them to the local ER.
And they have to pay for it out of pocket, or does the government provide?
I never ran across that situation, so I guess I don't necessarily know.
Okay.
Well, knock on wood, nobody gets
Yeah.
hurt, but.
Do they bring their families with them?
No, the guys that we have are all, they all do have families. They all do have I think they all do have kids, 2, 3, 4 kids. They choose to leave their families to come here and work to provide a better income, better living for them back in Mexico. All the gentlemen that we hire are from Chiapas, Mexico, which is the very most southern part of Mexico. I hear it's very beautiful down there, near Guatemala. So once they get to Texas, they're about halfway here. Yeah.
Question. I'm gonna go
How do you get a hold of the workers year to year? And like if they aren't available, how would new workers find your farm?
I currently have, we communicate through an app, so I can talk to them anytime. Come Christmas time, I say, Merry Christmas, Feliz Navidad. I'm in touch with them from every time to time, and they can talk to me. That's how we do that. Originally, when we were offered in the H-2A, I had to reach out and find a recruiter guy to help bring the people in and go from there. And then, so what's happened is the first group that we originally got, they were not the best workers, and then we had to ask for different workers, and they got us really, really good workers, and then a lot of times it becomes friends and family at that point. If somebody, like we have a gentleman this year, decides he wants to not come this year, his brother's going to come instead, so he can stay back with his family for a year. And I encourage the folks, the gentlemen that we have to do that all the time. I was like, we can just rotate through. It's a long time to be away from your family for 7 months out of the year. So every couple of years, somebody might stay and somebody else will come. And now we have a handful of people that we know and trust and that do a really good job that we can, if somebody's not going to come, then we already have it in place. We'll bring somebody else. Yeah.
So you set up a relationship with some of these workers, and they come back every year?
We have a fantastic relationship.
So
yeah.
Okay.
You want to go to Old Fort and get something to eat? Here, take my wallet and go. We have a fantastic relationship.
But they don't have automobiles or cars themselves. You have to take them to.
They can.
They can.
It's a little bit, and the reason we don't do it more, it's a little bit difficult with their visa. They have to pass the whole written and the driving tests every single year.
Okay.
To whereas we don't, which I wish that rule was different, because it takes us time and effort, energy away to go through and set up an appointment, take the test, take the driver's test, take the written test, and then come back around. Every year their visa expires, that expires, got to do it all over again. Some of the guys just rather have me drive them around too, so they don't have the expense, but yeah, they can. With that visa, you could, yes.
And their wages, you said that the federal government sets the wages that you have to pay.
Yeah, we don't set them.
What is the wage?
It's all public record. This year was $19.57.
$19.57 for an hour.
An hour, yeah. I don't know.
Depends on, depends on the, the rate of
And that's-
exchange.
You understand why that's why
Depends
they
on the
would
rate
wanna
of
come here.
exchange.
If I lived in Mexico,
Right.
I mean, and I was a young gentleman or whatever, yeah, let's go make a better living situation for my family too.
Right.
So
I'm gonna go to this side of the room real quick, and then we'll go back to the other side.
it's 359 pesos.
I'm assuming because their visa expires every year, they have to go back there to the embassy and get a new visa. Have you experienced where any of the workers that you wanted to bring over were denied the visa, therefore you weren't able to use them, the following year?
The only trouble we've ever had once, and I never found out why, we did have the whole entire crew got denied one year. I tried, never found out why. I've never been so tired in my life. I ruined my feet. They didn't show up till August, and so consequently we went through about 4 other crews and pieced stuff together, and you can imagine all the hard work that I look back at that now and like, how the heck did I do that? But yeah. They have to report back to Mexico. They have to land back in Mexico before their visa time expires. And some of them go before they go back to Mexico. So say they left here yesterday. Some of them may go visit other friends or family in other states before they go back to Mexico.
From seeing them working in the fields, I can't imagine that those jobs could ever be done by a machine. Is that true?
For what we do on our farm, picking 50 different crops on our farm, and like say, for instance, kale, not only do we harvest full-size leaves of kale, we harvest a medium kale, a baby kale. A lot of that is very specialized, and we're growing on our vegetables, not including pumpkins and sweet corn, which take a little bit more land, are about 14 acres. So it's many different crops at many different sequential plantings, because like lettuce or parsley or whatever the case may be, we may plant those 20, 30 times a year, sequential plantings over and over to keep a steady supply of produce for our community. And I don't know in the beginning, what brought me back to the farm was CSA, Community Supported Agriculture Shares, which we call them farm share boxes, and they're all customizable. So members can select, I get a list of availability online, and then folks like you can go on there and decide what you want for your grocery bill, our grocery cart, and fill your grocery cart up, and then we deliver it on a weekly basis in the summertime and a bi-weekly basis in the wintertime. So your question is no, it's all specialized labor, yeah.
Those food boxes are great, by the way. If you've been to the farmer's market, they talk a lot about those food boxes, and a lot of folks love them that I've talked to, love those food boxes because they can customize. If you want more kale, you don't like kale, but you want celery, you can customize all these boxes. I encourage you to try that out, get online, or stop out and get some of those boxes. Any other questions you guys have? Their produce is way much fresher. Actually, Kroger gets produce from a farm in Willard, I think. Burma Farms, I think. They get some produce. I wish they would get them from these guys, because we could go there every day and get it. Any other questions?
Do your workers have Social Security numbers?
Do my workers have Social Security numbers? Yes, all of them have Social Security numbers.
Okay. And you must have to report that income to the government? Is that how do they benefit from Social Security?
I don't think they benefit, no.
Do they ever get their can they ever claim their benefits, or?
I don't think
No?
so, no.
Okay.
Yeah, and Sheriff had kind of put it this way a couple times. We do not have any folks on green cards. I've tried one gentleman, it just didn't work out.
You pay them, but you have to take out like FICA and Social Security from their pay? Deduct it, or no?
No.
You do not deduct any of those government, okay. Okay, and when you provide housing, the housing has kitchens and facilities, so they cook for
That's very-
themselves, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay,
Very nice housing.
yeah. I would think that a car too would be an expense, you know, they try to save as much money as they can, I
Yeah,
presume,
they
to
try-
take
'cause
home.
Not only are they
Send home.
supporting their immediate family, a lot of times they're supporting an extended family, yeah. Yep.
I'm sorry.
Snatched it away. What about the expense of bringing the, participating in the program? We're hearing a lot right now about the highly skilled engineers and people from Europe and in Asia being $100,000 for something, and I wasn't sure whether it was for an individual that for these special programs for employment. But do you have to pay a fairly steep fee to get your crew to the government?
Yes, but for what they provide, it's very well worth it. Like, we have to pay the gentleman that helps bring the crew here, because he handles the paperwork side of it as well. And then we have to provide transportation to and from. So we have to probably our folks like to take the bus up. It's a little bit cheaper, or we pay that, but they'd like to take the bus up, and then they'd like to fly back, and we pay that as well.
Do you know if there is a fee for those visas for the workers, for your migrant?
On their end?
On their end.
I don't know.
Further north on 53, there used to be fields that were taken care of by, I think, Mexicans. They lived in shacks, and I was up that way this summer, and the shacks were just, they weren't occupied. Are they doing, somebody else taking care of the fields?
You trying to, that's what I was trying to speculate, just across from the county line right there. Yeah.
A lot of tomatoes.
Yeah.
I think she's talking, yeah, I remember a long time ago, they had all those shacks, and there was all the workers living in there,
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And they worked in the tomato, a lot of it was for the Heinz factory. I don't know
Yeah.
whose land it was or who, so.
I think they've come a long ways in protecting the quality of life of the agriculture worker. I remember being a little boy running around. I've been to some of those different camps, and you're right, their living conditions were not the greatest. X number of people in a house and only one restroom facility or so on and so forth. But our guys live in a pretty nice 2-story house, and they're well taken care of.
Do you have a sense of how many farms in the area use migrant workers, or how important it is to our county as a whole? And if not, is there a place, you said it was public information, do you know where we would find that?
Of what farmers have?
Yeah, just locally, who's using migrant?
I could speculate, but that's all it would be. I mean, I think most of the farmers around here doing produce in a manner like similar to ours, whether it would be Weir's or it would be Gilmore's or so on and so forth. I think all those guys that I know are using legalized labor through an H-2A visa is the predominant way to go.
Okay. Any other questions?
I'm just a little curious. You don't have to answer this, but I'm thinking of Barb and Dick.
Yeah.
And I understand at one point their migrant workers were so afraid to come back, and they actually went to Washington, D.C. and tried to get them back. Did they have a program? They probably didn't have a program like yours.
I would speculate years ago they did not. I did not do my research before I came here. I do not know how long the H-2A program has been around. I know it's been 20 plus. Yeah.
But I know they really wanted them back, and they couldn't.
Well, that speaks to the volume of their work and what they meant to that farm. It takes a lot of work to be able to retrain any human being to be able to do that skill set of work, no matter, you know what I mean? So.
Mr. Ream and Sheriff, too, your compassion that you show and the efforts you make to keep it all humanized very well, it's laudable. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I would just like to say, gosh, $20 almost an hour, that's pretty high wage for hard work. I know it's hard work. Come from a farm myself, but gee, it would seem like, how far do you spread the message that you need workers to these American university kids and all that? But, and well, why not? $20, that's pretty high. Am I being naive?
Are they considered independent contractors? And do you supply a 1099 to them or anything to the IRS about what they make?
I don't handle that side of the business as much, so I probably shouldn't speak on it. Yeah.
One last question. I got you in the back.
First, I want to thank you both. It seems pretty clear tonight that things are a little bit different from what we have maybe heard and seen. Things have changed over the decades, especially on the farms. So what would you, both of you, either of you, say, let's start with you, Phil, say about the benefits of having a compassionate approach to working with people, to treating them as humans, and maybe to giving them the information they need to feel safe and to actually be safe in an environment now where so many do not feel safe.
So, put that in a question form? Like.
Sorry, I thought I did.
You go.
Yeah, I'll start. I'll say that, taking what he said, that the gentlemen that are coming up, providing for their families, doing it the proper legal way. America's pretty compassionate for that, and I think all of us are. That the, you said it was your daughter-in-law? Yes. Yeah. That it spent money, time, because it takes a long process to become naturalized, to become any of the processes, to do it the legal way. And I think when you're talking about the people that are the criminal illegals, or even just the illegals that are cutting in line, that are taking those opportunities away from the gentlemen that are coming up here doing it the right way and stuff like that, we can still have compassion for that, and house them compassionately, send them back compassionately, pay them to go back compassionately, stand in line, compassionately, and come back the right way. I think that's the way that it should be. But we bring in 1.2 million a year, which is more than any other country does. Tourism, 8 million. Students, a couple million. So we have the program, a total of 13 million a year come on some type of visa, tourism, student, naturalization, or whatever. So it's not like we're not allowing immigration, but the legal way. So, but compassion is a big part of it. And Mr. Ream is doing it, the other farmers are doing it, and I don't think our county is really any different than some of the other counties. I just think that we're hearing, like in any profession or anywhere, that there are bad apples that stand out, and those are the ones that get highlighted.
And I think there has been some times where I feel like, the guys that work for us do get targeted, they go to Walmart, and you leave Walmart, and they'll never ask me for my receipt, but often they do. Or a lot of people just maybe don't know, and there's a language barrier as well, so they assume the worst, or whatever the case may be. So I guess my ask would be if all you guys could help spread the word that what you learned here tonight, say, that how compassionate we are towards them and they are towards us, and what they mean to our food system. If you think our food is expensive now, take them out of the picture, and your food goes skyrocket. Or you don't get to enjoy the fresh produce born. You got to eat out of a can all the time. Yeah. So.
True.
I'd really like to thank you both. This has been really, really interesting and informative, and especially you, Sheriff, for coming 2 hours and going back 2 hours soon. So I appreciate everybody showing up. This is a great turnout for one of these programs. We have them every month. And we'd like to encourage people to join our League of Women Voters. We look at issues current to the day, in particular issues that might impact us in Seneca County. And it's a great organization.